Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next, episode of What is the Best Generation? And we're going to be talking about Generation 2 in today's video. Yes, this does contain bias, and I'll explain a little bit more about what this video is about. If you have not seen the first one, I highly recommend go watching that before watching this. But let's get into the video. In this video, we're going to be discussing the main series games, battling style, storyline, and features in those main series games, as well as the side games that came along with the generation, the anime series, and the Pokemon movies that also were released in this generation. Now, the four categories will be averaged to make the final total at the end of the video, and that's what the ultimate ranking is going to be determined by what it gets the highest average of all four stats. So let's begin with the main series games. In the main series games, we're talking about Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Now, I personally have not played these games a whole lot. I've played Gold. You saw my best team for Gold go up in the Let's Play format, as well as in a discussion format. So feel free to go check those, and there should be a link to those at the end of the video. So if you want to watch those after this, it also has some of the coolest starters. Well, all the starters are pretty cool in my opinion. But these are some of the hardest ones for me to choose between. Mostly because I love Cyndaquil and I love Totodile. Chikorita is okay. It just really sucks for this game, and that's why I never really pick it. But the other two are so cool, and I always have a hard time picking between them. Let's get into the events of the games. So you start out with the battle styles introduced in this game, and it's just like Generation 1, 101 battle style, Pokemon versus Pokemon. Nothing really has changed there, so not a whole lot to discuss. But once we get to the storyline, we do have some more in-depth discussion, because it does change more than that. So you start out like the other game, you pick your starter Pokemon, you go on your quest to complete the Pokédex, and to get the gym badges of the Johto region this time. Now, however, you have a different Wyatt rival, and his name by default is Silver. And what we find out about Silver in the later games, that Silver is the son of Giovanni. Now, I don't know what his mom is, but there's some theories out there about that, so we might cover that eventually, but let's stick to the main storyline right now. You continue to fight Silver throughout the game as your rival. He's a hard, battle-tested rival, and honestly, he's one of the better rivals in the Pokemon franchise. Blue still outclassing him just a little bit for me, so sorry if you really like Silver. He's a good rival, but I like Blue just a little bit better. And throughout the game, you still have to contact Team Rocket while you're taking them down because they are revamping production after Giovanni has left. 3 years later, they're coming back under new leadership. Giovanni's nowhere to be seen till post game, and I believe it is Heart Gold, Soul Silver. So that's Generation 4. We'll get there in a couple months. But this game introduced some really cool features with two really cool legendary Pokemon, Ho-Oh and Lugia. And you catch them before you take on the Pokemon League, and you defeat the Pokemon League. Technically, that's where the main story ends. However, with post-game content, they allow you to revisit Kanto and recollect the 8 gym badges there. Eventually, you access to Mount Silver, which is the hardened battle training icy mountainous wasteland that is very difficult to make your way through. However, if you do make it through and make it to the top of Mount Silver, you will find the hero of Generation 1, Red, and you battle his around level 80 team at the top of Mount Silver. It's a pretty cool storyline. It's pretty similar, but it's got some new features in it that I believe just make it just a hair better than the storyline in Generation 1. And the features are where it really gets interesting because there are a lot of new features in this game. As you saw in the first video, there's a lot of problems with Generation 1. However, a lot of them were fixed in this generation, and even some more things were taken into consideration, like the addition of two new types, Dark and Steel, to just throw a little bit of a wrench into the typing system. Because Psychics were way overpowered, Dark was a way to combat that, and Steel was a way to counterbalance everything that already existed. So, good for Game Freak to realize that in Generation 2 and fix that. Another interesting and very well loved feature is the breeding system, and coincidentally, Pokerus, the Pokemon virus that boosts stats and crap. Now, breeding is relevant in this game. You get an egg for a Togepi at the beginning of the game, and that's what Professor Elm studies. He studies the Pokemon breeding, so really cool feature to throw into this game. And finally, one of the rarest features, I have to say, and one of the ones that I really, really like, is the introduction of Pokemon alternate color schemes, also known as shiny forms. Pokemon have been given they've been given either a vastly changed color palette, or just a slightly one in some cases, where they are different shades, and they're called shiny Pokemon, very rare to catch in the game, very high chance to not find one, so very rare, and I really like that feature in the game. It really is something that still stands the test of time because a lot of people still do a lot of shiny hunting. So, very great features. And with all of this taken into effect with the main series games, the total is going to be 6.7. So I believe that is higher than Generation 1, but will that be enough to carry it higher than Generation 1 on the final leaderboard? Well, let's break it down into the side games. That's something I really want to mention that I completely slipped my mind with making the first video of this series. Pokemon Stadium did come out Generation 1. It's like the battle tournament thing, and so it's still in there, but really it's not going to affect the numbers, so it didn't really matter that I didn't talk about it. Just know that Pokemon Stadium was in Generation 1 as well. One of the main games in Generation 2 is Pokemon Stadium 2, where it introduces the revamped Pokemon Stadium with the new features of Generation 2. Basically a competitive battling style of format. Another thing that was introduced is Pokemon Mini. Now, I have not played any of these games. The only way I know about Pokemon Mini is Pokemon Channel, and we'll talk about that in a later generation. That's the only reason I know about Pokemon Mini. However, it was a thing in Generation 2, as well as Pokemon Snap, the original Pokemon Snap. I have not played that either, so really can't speak much to this generation on their side games again, because I have not played them. So we're going to give them a nice round 5. Moving on to something I actually have done in Generation 2, is Pokemon Anime, more specifically the Johto Journeys series, where we still follow the same protagonist, Ash, and his two companions who are exactly the same, Misty and Brock, but so what's different? Really, there's nothing a whole lot different. You might disagree with me on that, but you're allowed to have your opinion just as like I am allowed to have mine. There's not a whole lot of difference between the Generation 1 anime and the Generation 2 anime. In fact, as a kid, I didn't know that Generation 2 wasn't Generation 1. I thought Generation 3, from 1 to Generation 3, were one generation of Pokemon. Because that's when I started playing. I'm like, this is what I know. This is the beginning. Pokemon. I didn't know that stuff came before that. So, really isn't much of a difference for me. And for that lack of difference and the lack of Johto Journey really standing out for me, besides the really cute Totodile, I really like Totodile. Totodile is awesome. I'm actually gonna give it a 4 for the anime total because it did not really do a whole lot, didn't introduce anything new. So sorry if you really like the anime, but we still got a chance to make it up with the movies, and we have a great chance to make it up with the movies. We start out with two of the great Pokemon movies. Some of my favorites. We come in with Pokemon 2000, studying Lugia in the Legendary Bird Trio. Now, Legendary Bird Trio did come out in Generation 1. However, they did not get the movie until Lugia was put into the movie with them in Generation 2. It's a really cool movie where Ash tries to save the world, and a Pokemon hunter, ranger, whatever, ranger, however you, whatever he called himself, tries to capture the legendary birds in Lugia, trying to control the seas, destroy the world by having all the power of the legendary Pokemon. Ash goes to calm all the storms that are going on, calm the legendary birds who are attacking everything by collecting the orbs from Fire Island, Thunder Island, and Water Island, I believe, are what they're called, bringing them to essentially Lugia's island and playing a song on the looks like an ocarina. It's a really cool movie, a really great movie, and I really like it. It also really hits the feels because Lugia in the movie is such a great Pokemon. But we got another one to talk about. So, moving on to the third Pokemon movie, which is literally what it's called. You feature Entei, which is really weird having Legendary Dog Trio and you only feature one of them. Now, you would expect it to be Ho-Oh and the Dog Trio, which that would make a lot of sense, but it did not happen that way. Entei got his own movie, and honestly, that was one of the best things they could have done. It's a really interactive movie where this little girl and her father, who is an Entei now, she controls everything because Entei has the power, and the unknown make a world where Molly really enjoys herself and has fun. So much that she wants a mother, and Entei kidnaps Ash's mom, takes her to their ice castle sort of thing. Ash and friends venture in to rescue Ash's mom. This is a very cool storyline, very cool battle features where Molly actually is a trainer, fights both Brock and Misty in really cool battle zones and areas. So really like those scenes. And then the ultimate battle between Entei and Charizard at the end of the movie was really great. It's really these are really good movies. So with all that being said, we're gonna give the movies their final rating. They just can't replace the best movie, in my opinion, which is the one in the first generation. So we're gonna give them an 8. Which honestly, two movies that are so well done, you can't really do much more than that. But now we have our total for the main series, the side games, the anime, and the movies. So you add all these up, and we're gonna total them together, make an average, and the average comes out to be 5.925, which just puts Generation 2 under Generation 1 on the leaderboard. It's not even a whole point. It's 0.75. That's how close these two generations are. And it makes sense because they have a lot in common between the two generations. However, Generation 1 shines just a little bit brighter, with that movie being just a little bit better, and the anime being new and not mocking and ripping off the previous generation because there was none. So I think just because the anime and the movie just being a hair better, Generation 1 barely takes this one. By That's probably going to be the close. I would be willing to say between Generation 1 and Generation 2, that will be the closest margin. So I'm expecting each one to be at least 1 point apart. Well, that's all it is for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if Generation 2 was your favorite generation, I'm sorry, it's not the best generation. However, it is still a very good generation. Did better than average, which average being 5. So, still highly recommend you play the games. And you can check out some of my videos relating to this series. I'll have the Kanto one on the screen, as well as the beginning of my best team for gold let's play and my best team for gold discussion video. And obviously, if you want to subscribe because you like the channel and you like the content I'm making, please feel free to do that. It means so much. And I really want to say a huge shout out to my 24 subscribers who really helped me continue doing YouTube regardless of feelings of not doing well enough to continue. So thank you guys for all the views and all the support. And one last thing before I close the video, if you are not following me on Twitter and Instagram at ChaosMade006, please go do so. Twitter, I will regularly update with information about if I'm not posting video day or a video is going to be late, this and that and that and this. Twitter is the best place to find information if I don't post a video on the channel. So definitely go follow me on Twitter. And Instagram's just kind of there to give you sneak peeks of like really in-depth studies of new content that's going to be coming out in the future. So make sure you go follow me on there too. And as I said before, I hope you liked the video. But that's all I have for this episode of which generation is the best. So, until next time, Pokemon fans, I'm ChaosMade006 signing off. Burn it up.